So I'm editing these files today. They are recordings of a performance from 2011. Which is 12 years ago now. Today is 2023. This is a ballet that I wrote, the music. The ballet was performed at UNESCO as part of a larger celebration of space and the peaceful use of space, coincident with the 50th anniversary of Yuri Gagarin's spacewalk. So I'm not going to play all of the video. I'm going to sort of jump through here and find highlights to give a taste of the flavor of the piece. Where did it go? Here it is. Full text. Here we go. Melody for Dialogue Among Civilizations. That's the NGO, the organization that sponsored it and coordinated it across UNESCO. Here's the program for the evening. So there's 3 large sections, 11 dances. This middle dance, dance 6, is pretty much as long as the other 2 sections put together. It's a beautiful unfolding of a melody and counterpoint. But on reflection, as I listened to these, I could certainly have cut it quite a bit. Yeah, as I was writing these, I was very influenced by the Stravinsky Balanchine ballets, so Agon, Oedipus Rex in particular. And you'll hear in the sections that very, I'm going to use the word artificial, but I mean in the sense of artifice, rhythmic artifice, is an important part of most of these dances, more so than melody, except in that middle dance 6, where it is all about rhythmic unfolding. But the juxtaposition of clearly defined rhythmic cells and the development of those rhythmic ideas is something that was very much on my mind for these dances. The orchestra was the Prague Philharmonic, which I think is a pickup orchestra. The conductor was fantastic, Igor. I learned what it means to be, quote, the composer, because I really just had to sit there and be referred to. And it was entirely necessary that I was there to be referred to. But I didn't have to do anything except be there. I remember there was only a couple of times where my opinion was asked for or needed. And in both cases, that's because of what actually is a weakness in my orchestration, but ended up being a useful direction. I was then, and I still am now, quite lazy with dynamics. In the sense that I don't like spending a lot of time with very specific dynamic markings, but also because particularly this music, it's either loud or it's soft, and I said that. There wasn't the need to be nuanced. It's if it says loud, play it loud, and then if it says soft, play soft. And I kind of wanted that juxtaposition. It was an important element to the music. It happened to play into my weakness, which is that I'm not very good at thinking about nuanced balances. It's either loud or it's soft. So I said that, and then Igor said, "You heard him. When it says loud, play loud. When it plays soft, play soft." And the music was much better when that happened. There's about 40 measures of that middle dance that got cut. So as long as it is, it was going to be another 5 minutes longer. And it just didn't work. And at one point, Igor turned to me and he said, "What do you think about these measures?" And I had heard it was just churning along and it didn't shape right. And I just said, "I don't know if this is working. We could just cut them." And he said, "Yes." And so we cut them, and the piece, although still too long, is much cleaner in terms of its structural repetition. This section that I had cut was supposed to be kind of a churning anticipatory section, and really what it was a distraction. The third thing I learned was just to always be confident. So here's a very funny example of something that I did wrong. When I was preparing the scores, and this was a while ago, so it was even harder than it is now to coordinate orchestral parts. I was using Sibelius. Extracting the parts takes time, printing them takes time, and I had in my template copied a marimba line. I was actually writing for an instrument called the yatka, which is like a dulcimer. It's a Mongolian dulcimer, which is part of the orchestration that the commission required that I include these Mongolian instruments. They had a group, so it was a good opportunity to think about some ways to do that. But I wrote the dulcimer type instrument, the yatka, originally just on a marimba staff, so it's basically the same range. And then when I copied it over to create the sort of the concerto group for the Mongolian instruments, I deleted the music from the marimba line, but I didn't delete the marimba line itself. And so out of the 11 dances, there was one movement that still had a marimba line in it with like 5 chords. It's ridiculous, right? But they hauled a marimba all the way from Prague to Paris, which is absurd, right? And then in rehearsal, the marimba player, the marimbist, played tremolo on the chords. And Igor stopped and said, no, that's not what's written, because what was written, of course, was just a strike. But it sounded really good. So we kept that, and I added it in a couple of other places. But it was entirely a mistake. It was basically an ink blot on the score that turned out to be pretty good. All right, what else is on this? There's Igor, chef d'orchestre. There's me, looking pretty young, compositeur. Here's the Mongolian group, that's the Yatka, the Erhu. I wrote a good piece for the Erhu. Erhu is like a 2-stringed bowed instrument that has a drone and a wonderful instrument. Buerte, Gagarin, here we go with the Erhu. He's like a world-class virtuoso on the Erhu. Natalia, she's choreographer. And then all the dancers. Dancers are all from different countries. That was a big deal. Stage manager, I'm trying, oh, here we go. I don't know how much weight I would put on these descriptions. The durations are very specific because I sent a MIDI realization for the dancers to work with. Just a shitty Sibelius. I didn't do any programming. I just had Sibelius play it. I've learned since that that's a mistake. Sending something like that to other musicians, I think the musicians will listen to it and realize that it's a mechanical, stupid realization. But the dancers and our sponsors thought that that's what the music should sound like. But there's a little bit of a story that I had written around the scenarios, and then the dance changed it a little bit. A repetitive pattern on the harp. It's not the solo violin, it's actually the erhu. You can see how I'm combining the different rhythmic gestures from the different dances. Dance 6, very romantic. Yeah, I was thinking of sort of Vaughan Williams or George Butterworth, those kinds of periods. And then the final dance. There was a love story included in the choreographer with Astrophil and Stella. It's quite beautiful. So that's a lot of talking. Let me get to the video here. Yeah, I love that yellow outfit that he's wearing. It's got sort of a Stockhausen serious-y kind of vibe to it. I like it. I've cut out these sections with the applause, and ballet crowds are different, right? They really get into the... So this is the harp, do 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 do, and then you'll hear the. Oh, but my God, that fucking chick! Do you know what I mean? Like, this is UNESCO. They have a $1 billion budget. They couldn't spend €100 and hire a student to do some decent video. The idea of story to ballet is a useful fiction, right? Story could be anything. That piece, I remember writing that. I wrote this all, as I tend to do, early in the morning before going to my job. This was a while ago, right? I've gained in confidence as a composer in the last few years, but I didn't have a lot of confidence writing this, and I think that it shows in some places. I'm not very good as an orchestral writer, because other than this and a few student pieces, I've never had the opportunity or the cause to write for large orchestral resources. But I remember for this piece in particular thinking that pluck harp on a single note, and then that note shifts a third of the way through, but always just one note, and then the melody. And it seemed so absurdly simple that I started to recognize that sensation of absurd simplicity as the indicator that I was writing something good. I think that's a very effective piece, despite the chicks. Yeah, this is quite an effective one, but I can't play everything of everything, otherwise we'll be here for an hour. Yeah, I like that one. What's next? Oh, okay, so now we're at the long... Where shall I... it goes on. I mean, it's quite I see what I was doing. I was trying to create these sort of, well, like these waves that build up and then come back and then build up a bit further. But I am no Edward Elgar. Actually, this is quite beautiful from the choreography. Let me just skip through now. So we're in the home stretch at this point. So let me just. I think that was some kind of temporal canon where the same material is played, like one pulse here and then like a ratio here and then a ratio here, kind of overlapped. It's a technique I really like. This might have been the first time I really used it in a piece. I thought that was pretty effective. And then we all come out, take our bows. There's a bunch of talking. There we go. So, that's my ballet. This is now the official record of that ballet. I would definitely write another ballet. It's great fun working with dancers. As you know, if you've been listening to this channel, I'm working on an opera right now. But let me know what you think about all of this. If you have any questions, or if I said something that you'd like me to clarify or dig into a little bit. Otherwise, congratulations on making it this long. This may end up being the longest video I've ever put out here. And we'll see if I've been able to effectively mix this camera with the screen stuff. That's pretty sophisticated editing for me, so we'll see how that all works out. Anyway, as always, keep your wits about you, and always more to come.